Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm from JennyCardDesigns. Thanks so much for stopping by to spend some time with me here today. My YouTube channel contains content that is intended to share paper crafting, tutorials, and inspiration with all of you. I hope that you enjoy. In today's video, I'm going to be making a card using the JennyCardDesigns sweaters and Cocoa mini stamp set. This stamp set comes free this month when you spend $75 or more in JennyCardDesigns online store. I'm also going to be using the JennyCard Master Layouts die set, and this is the Master Layouts number 3, and I'll use the two smallest square dies in this set. One of them has little stitch borders on it. I think stitching on die cut panels really adds a finishing touch to your die cut layers. JennyCard recently released some Slimline envelopes as well, and in case you didn't get a chance to pick up any of these, because I know they're sold out now, I'm going to be showing you how to create your own Slimline envelope for your card project. I have been designing templates for the past maybe 8 months, creating templates for all different types of card projects and paper crafts, and I've developed this book full of templates for all different sorts of card projects, envelopes, boxes, journals, tags, and so much more. So this book is full of all different types of designs, and the best part about this book is that each design or each template has a coordinating YouTube video to show you how to use it to create that specific craft. So I think that's, it's really nice to have this sort of package of wonderful things to help reference us in our paper crafting. So I use my template book all the time. You can pick up a copy of this book, which now comes full of templates inside these little pockets, these sleeve protectors. And you can find that on my website at www.jennycards.ca, and we do ship to Canada and US in case you're interested. So I'm going to start making a Slimline envelope. This is one of the templates I have inside of my book, and we'll be making a business style Slimline envelope. So for this envelope, I'm going to use JennyCardDesigns Fresh Asparagus, and I have a sheet of cardstock that is 8.5 inches by 11. Now on the 8.5 inch side, following along step number 1, we'll score at 2 inches and then at 6 inches. And then I'll rotate my cardstock 1 turn and I'll score at 1 inch and then at 10 inches. So now that's step number 1 and step number 2 completed. So the next thing we're going to do is step number 3. We're going to cut off these corners on all 4 sides of my cardstock. Now, in step number 4, we create some angle cuts as well, and I've made this envelope so many times that I always combine step 3 and 4 together. So I cut off the little side, and then I cut off the little angle cut at the same time. It just makes it quicker and easier, but you can definitely do these one at a time if you like. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll get all 4 corners of my cardstock cut. And then this is what we should have at this point. Step number 5, you can round the corners if you like. In step number 6, it shows you where to apply the adhesive. So I'll go ahead and I'll take my bone folder and I'll burnish all of the score marks. And then you'll notice on your envelope that you have a smaller flap and a larger flap. And the larger flap is the bottom closure of the envelope, and the smaller flap is the one that you would round the corners if you choose to do so, or add adhesive on to close your envelope. So I'll add my adhesive to the larger flap just on the outer edge, and you want to make sure that you use good strong stuff here because you don't want your envelope to fall apart. So liquid glue is a good option for this as well. I'll just press in the tape, make sure that I get good contact, and then you can add a pattern paper liner in here if you like. The envelope is complete. In my template reference book, I also have all of the dimensions for layers and how to cut the card. So there's 2 ways that I have that you can cut a Slimline card base, but there are many ways. You can cut it any way you like, but I have my own specific measurements for this envelope. So I take a piece of 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, and across the 11-inch side, I cut it at 7 inches. I like this size because it leaves a substantial size panel left over that you can use for stamping or die cutting and such. So you should have a piece of cardstock that measures 8.5 inches by 7 inches. And on the 7-inch side, we'll put this in the scoreboard, and we're going to score at 3.5 inches. So this will give us a slimline card base that measures 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches. So I think you get the most out of your cardstock using this measurement. There are bigger slimline cards, like a 9 by 4, I believe, and that pretty much uses your whole sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. That's why I like this size particularly, and it fits nicely into this envelope. So you can create this slimline envelope with one sheet of cardstock and create the card base with one sheet of cardstock with a pretty substantial piece left over. Okay, for the layers for this card, I'm going to cut down some cardstock to 8 inches by 3 inches. And I just have a scrap here of Gina K 110 pound pure luxury white cardstock. I love how smooth this cardstock is. It's great for coloring and ink blending and things like that. So it's one of my favorite cardstocks to work with, especially when I use Copic markers. So I've got the stamp set, and I'm going to be putting the images. I've got the hot cocoa image and the sweater, and I'm going to put them on some comfort blocks. And I'm just rubbing away any manufacturing residue that might be left on the stamp. I want to make sure that I get good solid impressions because I'm going to be stamping with acrylic blocks instead of using a stamp positioner. So I want to make sure that every time I stamp, I get a good impression. So I'm also going to use my MISTI for that. That helps me get a good stamping surface. So when I ink up my stamp and I stamp it down, I make sure that I get a good solid impression and it looks good. This sweater is so cute. It's just the cutest little thing ever. So I'm just making my own pattern paper here. I'm inking up the sweater and I'm twisting and turning it and stamping it all across my slimline panel. I also should mention I put a little bit of tape in behind my panel so that it wouldn't move around inside of my MISTI. So I'm stamping the hot cocoa mug as well, just twisting and turning and filling in the empty spaces. And then I took the little snowflake from this stamp set and I'm just stamping this in some of the empty spaces using JennyCardDesigns Turquoise Sea ink. And for the black, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but I used JennyCardDesigns Onyx Black ink. And then for this little heart that was in the same stamp set, I'm using Gina K Red Velvet ink for that, and I'll just fill in any of the last little bits of empty spaces. So that looks good. I'm happy with that. So while I have my MISTI out, I'll go ahead and stamp the sentiment, and I'll just rub off the manufacturing residue as per my usual, and I'll use JennyCardDesigns Red Velvet ink and stamp this down on a piece of Gina K Pure Luxury white cardstock. And this is where those Master Layouts dies come in handy. I cut a piece of the fresh asparagus cardstock, and I used the stitch border to cut out my sentiment. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of Copic coloring. So I'll play a little bit of music and I'll catch you back on the other side.
And so it's Christmas. Hear the festive music in the air. See the smiling faces everywhere. Stop and stare. Another Christmas. Time to celebrate with those you love. Time to count your blessings from above. Christmas time is here. Have a happy Christmas and New Year. Have a very Merry Christmas. Christmas time is here.
So we have this beautiful fun sweater pattern paper. It's super cute. I didn't do any shading. I just did basic coloring. And I think it turned out really nice. So I adhered that down to my Slimline card. And then I tore it up because it wasn't straight. So we'll try again. We'll adhere that down to my card base. And I'll use my bone folder to press everything in. And then I have my sentiment. And I'm just going to figure out where I want it. And I actually add a little bit of the turquoise sea snowflakes onto my sentiment strip here. So once I'm happy with that, I'm going to pop up my sentiment with a piece of fun foam. And then I'm going to embellish this with some JennyCardDesigns sequins. And these are just a flat, clear sequin. And I'll use some glue to adhere those down. And I'll pop those up over, I'll pop the sequins on top of some of my snowflakes and on top of my sentiment. Just scattering them around just to add a little bit of sparkle into my card project. I really like the way this turned out. It's so cute and wintry and cozy looking. And then I'm going to grab my second piece of cardstock that I cut, and I'll put that on the inside of my card base so that we have a spot to write on or stamp a sentiment. And then I've got one little last strip of turquoise sea cardstock here that I'm going to use. This is just a scrap I had on my desk. I'm just going to use that to accent my envelope, just to add that color in. You know, like the way that looks. And that's it. This card is complete. Here is a close-up look at my fun sweatery pattern paper background. Super cute. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. I appreciate the support. I had so much fun making this card. I have so much more inspiration to share with you with the recent JennyCardDesigns release. I have a video coming up with the brand new Sparkle and Shine card kit, so keep an eye out for that. Coming up on screen are a couple of videos I think you may enjoy. Thanks for stopping by. Have yourself a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!